I'm drinking iced coffee that I got out. If I can do this every day, I'll never be able to afford to join Lularoe. Just when you think the Lularoe rabbit hole can't get any deeper, once again, it finds a way to surprise you. Today, in honor of discussing Mommy Maureen, or Maureen Startup, mother of Deanne Brady Sidham, founder of the company Lularoe, and her book, The Secret Power of Femininity, which is all about how to be feminine, I have decided to dress in light pastel colors so that I can fit Mommy Maureen's standards for womanhood. But I guess it's like a crop top with my tattoos visible. If you guys remember, a couple months ago, I reviewed the book, The Secret Power of Femininity, which was featured in the documentary Lularoe that came out on Amazon Prime this last fall. That documentary was all about the rise and the fall of the company Lularoe, the multi-level marketing pyramid scheme adjacent company that sold shitty pattern leggings and ultimately scammed a ton of women out of a ton of money. In that documentary, there was a book mentioned called The Secret Power of Femininity, which was kind of the trad wife Bible. The book written by the Lularoe founder, Deanne Stidham, written by her mother, Maureen Startup, all about how to be a better woman and attract men and have a nice Mormon wedding. It was basically pickup artistry for women, but in a way where you were intentionally supposed to oppress yourself. Check out my review of that book linked up in the cards if you haven't seen it already. After my review of that book came out, I received a DM from Becca, who was actually in the Lularoe documentary. If you guys remember watching that documentary, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. But Becca, who's one of the women who was featured in that documentary, sent me a DM after watching my review of that book and said the following to me. There's a whole backstory on Maureen's Startup and Helen Andelin being stepsisters and allegedly sourcing their material for the same place and accusing each other of plagiarism. So when she sent me that, I was like, somehow the Lularoe rabbit hole got even deeper. So yes, as it turns out, back in 1963, a book came out called Fascinating Womanhood, which has sold millions of copies and has been considered a wild success, even though it is, from everything I've seen, just as much of a hot mess as The Secret Power of Femininity, which is a book that has faded into relative obscurity. And as it turns out, there was a plagiarism scandal about the fact that Mommy Maureen may have actually copied Helen Andelin's Fascinating Womanhood back in the day. So I decided to dig into this. When Becca sent me this, she mentioned that Helen Andelin may have been a part of the whole startup Lularoe family in the first place, and I was like, holy shit, can this family get any wilder? Because if you remember, not only was Deanne Stidham the girl who started Lularoe, her twin sister Diane was the one who started the MLM company Epiphany, which became SAVY, which is my name, which really upset me. And then not only that, but then Deanne's daughter started the MLM company, was it ... Smile? This family just doesn't stop. And then not only that, but Mommy Maureen's brother, John Brown, was a plastic surgeon who was responsible for multiple murders. Like, guys, this family's story just doesn't stop from getting deeper and deeper. So I was like, so not only that, but then the author of Fascinating Womanhood is also related to them and also may have been plagiarized. Like, guys, when will this story end? Not today. Today we're going deeper into it. Let's do it.
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
What's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy. Welcome back to Savvy Writes Books, the channel where we talk about books and business, and it's one of my favorite types of days today where we get to talk about some book publishing drama, which is directly adjacent to multi-level marketing drama. It's the best. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every Friday at 11 a.m. Central and often other times throughout the week as well. And don't forget to check out my second channel, Your Morning Guru, where I stream daily at 7 a.m. Central Time to cover similar topics but on a morning show live stream style instead. So let's just jump into this topic. What is Fascinating Womanhood? All right, here's the Wikipedia article on the book Fascinating Womanhood. See, this book has a Wikipedia article. The Secret Power of Femininity has like 5 copies in entire circulation. Someone had to photocopy it at a library for me in an archive where they found it and send it to me because you can't find this book anywhere. Fascinating Womanhood, meanwhile, has had multiple different editions printed and reprinted and different updates made throughout the years. There's a 1963 edition, there's a 1990 edition. This book has been much more more successful. Let's talk about it. Fascinating Womanhood is a book written by Helen Andelin and published in 1963. The book recently went into its 6th edition, published by Random House. 2 million books were sold and is credited with starting a grassroots movement among women. Derived from a set of booklets published in the 1920s and 1930s by the Psychological Press, the book seeks to help traditionally minded women to make their marriages a lifelong love affair. According to Time magazine, Andelin wrote Fascinating Womanhood when she felt her own marriage wasn't the romantic love affair she had dreamed of. The book's self-published edition sold over 400,000 copies, and since being published by Random House, the book has sold more than 2 million copies, including foreign markets. It has been translated to 7 languages. The book serves as a touchstone for those of the anti-feminist persuasion. Sound familiar? This is also interesting. The book takes many of its sources from historical women, and then we're just going to look at some of the examples here. Agnes and Dora is the name of one of the MLMs that has come from the Lularoe family empire. Hold on, we're going to look this up real quick. Agnes and Dora was founded by Buffy Bandley, who's the niece of Deanne. Okay, so Deanne's daughter, I believe, founded ... Smile. Agnes and Dora was founded by Deanne's niece. Agnes and Dora from David Copperfield were referenced in this book. Okay, this is weird. This is weird, but let's continue. Because I'm going to draw the connection to Lularoe in a second here in case you guys think I'm just going off the deep end. Although the book was published in the early 1960s when second wave feminism became part of the American mainstream, Fascinating Womanhood's traditional explication of happy marriage resonated in the minds and hearts of millions of women. By 1975, according to Time magazine, the movement included 11,000 teachers and over 300,000 women had taken the series of Fascinating Womanhood classes. Just like how Maureen Startup had been coaching people and having a course at her house about the secret power of femininity. This was all entwined together, guys. So, let's connect this to Lularoe. We have a Twitter thread from another relative of the family that we're going to look at, and then we are going to also look at a newspaper article from back in the day. So here we have the old newspaper clipping. I believe this is from the 1960s. Oh, no, this is from 1972. So this is an article from Long Beach, California from July 1972. So if you guys remember, Secret Power of Femininity was published in 1969. Let's read. So this is talking all about Maureen. There's Maureen and Albert Startup. You know, Maureen's the author of The Secret Power of Femininity. Albert is her husband. Together they ran a catering business and I believe a candy business. And they also ran this like Become More Feminine Institute, the Institute for Femininity. So it's talking about the secret power of femininity, in which they claim that if a woman really works at it, she can get any man she wants. Although the book is new, the concept isn't. The startups who live in Pasadena and are the parents of 11 children aged 13 to 39 have been involved in showing girls and women how to use feminine wiles to land men in their choice since 1944. If the secret power sounds startlingly like Fascinating Womanhood and Fascinating Girlhood by Santa Barbara author Helen B. Andelin, it may be because Mrs. Startup and Mrs. Andelin are stepsisters and cousins. Wait, I'm sorry, they're stepsisters and cousins? The Startup book was started first, the couple said, although Mrs. Andelin got hers published first. Mrs. Startup said she and her husband have concentrated on preventative medicine, while Mrs. Andelin zeroes in on sick marriages. So preventative medicine is a metaphor here. They're talking about like, this is about preventing your marriage from getting bad in the first place by attracting the right man, whereas this book is about fixing your marriage if it's already bad. They're like, the books are different. Another difference is that I'm an educated woman who has gone farther, said Mrs. Startup, a graduate of the University of Utah. Dude, she's bitter. She's bitter that her cousin sister has sold more books. I know that it's absolutely possible to be a sister and a cousin of someone at the same time. Is this like Arrested Development? Is this like Arrested Development spoilers? This show's almost 20 years old now. I can do this. But isn't that like a thing on Arrested Development, right? That like George and Oscar were twin brothers and they both were having sex with Lucille, and that's why Lucille had all 4 kids, but like Buster's father was Oscar instead of George. That was the thing on Arrested Development, right? So he was like the kids, all the kids had, Buster was all of their brother and cousin at the same time. That show, I was like, this is that in real life. This family is like, oh my god, the Arrested Development family is so much like the Lularoe, like the Lularoe family is like them in real life. They're not a parody, they're like doing this for real. Oh my god, I just realized that. So anyway, she was getting mad that her sister cousin was selling more books than her. How does this happen? Wait, okay, so was John Brown, the murderer surgeon, was he Mommy Maureen's brother or cousin or both? And what was John Brown's relation to Helen Andelin? Now I'm getting really fascinated by this. Okay. And Mrs. Startup added, Mrs. Andelin believes women should stay at home while she thinks careers for women are fine as long as they don't involve competition with men. Okay, guys, I need to read Fascinating Womanhood now. I'm really curious. I'm gonna order this book and read it because it's actually available for sale, unlike The Secret Power of Femininity. I'm gonna be reviewing this. This is wild. Mrs. Startup has always assisted her husband in his catering business, and in a marriage brokerage they began later. And he helped her write the book. Startup also freely admits he has helped change many a diaper for their large brood and feels quite at home in the kitchen too. Dude! Mommy Maureen is like, okay, I may be an anti-feminist, but at least I'm not like Helen, okay? Helen's like trad wife extreme. Like, I'm over here like, yeah, at least my husband helps me raise the kids, you dumb bitch. This is hilarious. I didn't realize that Mommy Maureen, I didn't realize you could get less feminist than Mommy Maureen. And then when you do, oh my god, this is hilarious. She's like, at least I believe women can go to work. They just shouldn't be able to make as much money as men, obviously. But like, they at least can go to work. Come on, Helen. This is so funny. Helen works, said Mrs. Startup of her stepsister, but the difference is that she feels guilty. I tell her she shouldn't. The idea for the whole femininity thing, both Startup and Andolin versions, came out of an old trunk back in Utah belonging to a friend's grandmother. Mrs. Startup used advice contained in 8 booklets found in the trunk to help her plan for helping unmarried women achieve happy marriages. She gradually began teaching some classes, something she continues today at the Startup's American Family and Femininity Institute in San Gabriel. Whoever wrote this article has like a million typos in here, but that's okay. I know newspapers churn themselves out quickly. So this is wild. Okay, so then there's a Twitter thread who's someone who's a relative of this family, which like, can you imagine being a relative of this family? Like, wow. Okay, so I'm in this Twitter thread where someone named Jared Gillens, shout out to you. So there's this whole thread going on. I found this thread just by Googling like the Helen, Andolin, and Maureen startup controversy. So I don't know who any of the people in this thread are, but somebody, this guy was, you know, doing some kind of speech, and then he mentioned Fascinating Womanhood. And this guy, Jared, pops in to say, fun fact, I'm related to both the author of Fascinating Womanhood and to a woman who published a plagiarized version of it. My family history is rich and dazzling. Jared, that is the biggest understatement of the century, dude. You didn't even mention that your family history involves like 5 pyramid scheme companies and a serial killer. Dude, could you imagine being in this fucking family? Like, I feel for Jared over here. I don't know anything about this dude. He says, I wanted to make sure I got the story and relationships right. Helen Berry Andolin is my first cousin, twice removed. She published Fascinating Womanhood in 1963 to great fanfare, as you know. My mom's side of the family was all on board. One of the biggest proponents of the book was my grand aunt Maureen Brown Startup. Maureen and Helen were first cousins and also sisters somehow, I guess. This don't ask me. She evangelized for Fascinating Womanhood, taught classes out of her home. Did you know there was a curriculum? Made sure everyone had a copy. Yeah, because this is the start of like the Boss Babe course shit. They were Boss Babes selling courses on how to be less of a boss babe and more of a trad wife. Like, it's so interesting how this whole thing fits together. Oh, someone's gonna bring up the Lularoe family down here. Dude, this thread. Eventually, Maureen got tired of stumping for Helen. She had the kind of personality that enjoyed being the center of attention. She figured if she was doing all this work, she should be getting something for it. Attention, acclaim, remuneration. So, Maureen and her husband, Albert, founded the American Family and Femininity Institute, and they published their own book, The Secret Power of Femininity, The Art of Attracting, Winning, and Keeping the Right Man for You, Unmarried... Oh, wait, there's more to this thread? Oh my god. My Aunt Lori, my mom's sister, typed up the manuscript for Maureen, got paid in a double portion of China for her wedding gift. Lori had read Fascinating Womanhood and told my mom that Maureen's book was awfully similar. Maureen's book was published in 1969 and it caused no small stir in the family. Helen was very upset and it caused a rift between the cousins and others in the family who took sides. My mom is pretty sure there was a lawsuit at one point or at least a lawyer involved. I'll have to dig a little to see if that's true. The point is drama. Understatement of the century. In the long run, nothing much came of it. Lots of people remember Fascinating Womanhood, but nobody remembers The Secret Power of Femininity. I remembered The Secret Power of Femininity. Don't worry. So Fascinating Womanhood is available on Amazon. I'm considering buying it to review. We will see. How the Ideal Women... Okay, even the Amazon listing has a fucking typo in it. How the Ideal Women Awakens... How the Ideal Women Awaken or Woman Awakens. I believe it's Woman Awakens according to the cover over here, but there's typo in here. Regardless, what makes a woman fascinating to her husband? The P word. That's a joke. What is happiness in marriage for a woman? These are two of the questions Helen B. Andelin answers in the best-selling classic that has already brought happiness in life to millions of marriages. Well, I'm married. I might as well read this and see if it fits with me. Inside, you'll learn what traits today's men find irresistible in a woman. Today's men of 1963. And then there's also, this is the 1990 version. So I wonder if there's an update that's like, so now it's the 90s and men actually like grunge chicks now. So 8 rules for a successful relationship. How to bring out the best in your man and reap the rewards. You can fix him, ladies. Plus special advice for the working woman. Okay, so Mommy Maureen was over here like, Helen Andelin doesn't think women should be allowed to work, but apparently it has advice for the working woman, unless that was an update in 1990. I don't know. Oh my god, it's almost 400 pages. Wow. I love these 2 reviews next to each other over here. Let's take a look at these. Do you know what emasculates a man? Do you know what inspires him to protect and provide for you? This book gets 5 stars for offering detailed information about what motivates men that is still relevant 60 years later. Okay, and then this reviewer's like, take some of the parts with a grain of salt, such as the domestic goddess advice that was more of a cultural fad at the time of the writing than a psychological fact, and ignore the attacks on working mothers and gays. It's like, just ignore the fact that the book is like awful and hates everybody. Like, there's still good stuff in it, I promise. But like, also it's terrible. But like 5 stars. But, like, just ignore the fact that it, like, is prejudiced against a lot of people other than, like, straight white men. But, like, ignore that, and the book's great. 5 stars. We are back to having fun and masculine-feminine polarity to an extent I never believed possible. I don't believe my marriage will ever have full masculine-feminine polarity. As the haters in my comments love to tell me, I am way too masculine. Like, what does that even mean? All of this stuff of, like, masculinity and femininity changes over time, so it's like... trying to put it into this, like, box, I think is a useless waste of time. Then the very next review is, I threw mine in the garbage! Oh my goodness, this book, if you believe your marriage should be like they were before women were able to vote, this book is for you. Enough said. Guys, I think I'm gonna have to get it. So whether or not Mommy Maureen definitively plagiarized from Fascinating Womanhood will never be known for sure. However, there is some evidence that there was some kind of feud going on back then about the 2 of them writing eerily similar books. And I think it's just so interesting that this is all within the same family. Like, for real, this is Arrested Development shit, and I absolutely love it. What are your guys' thoughts on all of this? Please let me know in the comments below. Would you like to see a review of Fascinating Womanhood? If so, I will find a cheap or used version of it to buy. Normally, like I tell you guys, I like to shop at local woman-owned bookstores to buy these books, but, they don't have this one. Surprise, surprise. Even though I'm able to, like, find Ben Shapiro's books and shit there. Not this one, though. But I will find it, guys. I will find a cheap version of it and review it. So let me know if that's something you're interested in the comments below. A quick thank you to my Patreon supporters for making this channel amazing and for continuing to support it. Guys, check out the description below where Patreon supporters who give $5 a month and up can link something of their own. And in addition, check out the links in the description below as Chewy's self-help book, Bro, Stop Licking Your Balls, is available for pre-order, as well as Max the Vampire Kitty, the first cat character in the Forever Home Friend series. He's also available for pre-order. So we've got lots of great stuff going on right now, but I'll see you guys again on Friday where we'll be talking about more anti-MLM and book world crossovers because that's what I'm on a roll with this week. So I will see you guys then, but in the meantime, please continue to support small businesses and have a fantastic start to your day. Bye!
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.